Before we begin, I'd just like to say there is some noise in the background from Black Belt Floof, so don't mind the chewing. She's got her antler. She does have her own channel if you want to see more of her. Link in the description below. So let's get to it. So I don't know where these news stories come from and who's talking to the press, but someone's clearly talking to the press because someone told the press that apparently Meghan Markle has been told that it's much too late now that she seems to admit family regret over things to do with the royal family and what's happened. And so it says here she's reported to deeply regret her behaviour towards the royal family, but has been warned that it's much too late. It says the Duchess of Sussex has specific remorse over the royal racist controversy. Or controversy, depending on how you like to pronounce it. It's an interesting thing, actually. I often think that you pronounce words the way that you first hear and learn them, which may be a mix of different things, depending on where you learn your language and things like that. And it says she and Prince Harry deeply regret the fallout, according to sources. Now, this is a really interesting thing, because we've said before that newspapers could, in theory, just print anything they like and just say that it came from a source, because they don't have to give up their sources. Interesting, because this follows up on from my previous video talking about the leakage of the CCTV footage and who the source is. They don't have to give that up. It says here, however, the source told Grazia magazine that the royal believes her comments weren't received in a way that she'd expected, and several of her comments have backfired. That's a bit of an odd thing to find its way into the press unless it's word for word. It may not be word for word, it may be just someone making something up, but it may be absolutely word for word. So it says she believes her comments weren't received in the way she'd expected, and several of her comments have backfired, saying that Meghan wanted the takeaway from her Oprah interview to be about her mental health. And I think Meghan regretted sitting down with The Cut in 2022 because she provided endless commentary for her critics. It says royal biographer Angela Levin told GB News that she, Meghan Markle, deeply regrets how she behaved towards the royals, and she's very sorry about saying they were racist. I don't know if I believe it, she says, but in any case, it's much too late, isn't it? Everybody's learned that that was nonsense and it's no longer listened to. She says it was very, very cruel, and I think the Queen, when she had heard that, it would be very painful for her. Because the one thing the Queen wasn't was racist in any way or form. She says her trademark's been refused and they think it's been very carelessly done. She's not allowed to use that because it's part of an area and she can't own an area, so it's not been accepted. You'd think that when you want to do such a big deal, you'd start with doing that first and then you send 50 jam jars away. But this, if it is all true, of course, is exactly what I said all along. These are things that they shouldn't have said. They shouldn't have done the interview. They shouldn't have gone public with all of these thoughts and comments, which are all derogatory and defamatory. And now it appears that they regret those, and perhaps because they've done so much to try to make it themselves on their own, out on their own. Although not really on their own, I think there is still a great deal of support there, but nonetheless still trying to do these things out on their own, and just for one reason and another just not really working. And so I would agree with Angela on this. I think it's far too late. I think the damage is done. I think the general public consensus is that her reputation has crashed, like I mentioned in previous videos. I never say never, but I think it'd be extremely difficult now to repair public reputation and to win over the public, or indeed win over the family members now and come back and put things back the way they were. I just think that is far too big an ask to undo all of that damage. When, as family members, if you make those kind of comments, some things you just can't come back from. You can't unsay. You can't undo the damage that certain comments have made. And especially if you've made those publicly for the whole world to hear and chew on. And the public will lap that up, of course, because you can't have these things both ways. You can't have a royal family that has a reputation and not have the public talk and think about them. And so if the public finds out certain things, they will talk about it. It will be newsworthy. Just as I'm doing this video now, this is newsworthy. News companies are writing about this, and everyone's talking about this. And I have my thoughts on it. And I'm humbled that you like to watch my videos and hear my thoughts on this. I agree. I think it's far too late, because I think when you've said certain things in public, which are really damaging, really heinous and hateful comments, or even if they're implied, even if they're not direct statements, if it's just enough for somebody to infer the hint of racism, then I think that's a heinous comment to make. And if people make threats and people make comments against you, particularly family members and particularly in public, those are just far too much to come back from. So I can't say I'm surprised. I can't say that I didn't expect something like this to happen. I'm still dubious and curious as to how these things find their way into the media. Someone is talking, if not them themselves. As I learned from my good learned friend Alan Robertshaw, the source is very often the person themselves. The source is very often the person they're talking about. So a source close to the cabinet is the cabinet, someone within the cabinet. A source close to the prime minister is often the prime minister, ringing up the news company and saying, this is what I want you to say. This is what happened, and here's what I'd like you to print. And so again, I might be wrong. I might just be one voice here. I don't think I am. I think I speak for the majority when I would say I think it's too late to repair this kind of damage. Let me know in the comments what you think. I mean, do you think that the royal family will just make amends and put things back how they were? And will the public generally accept reparations? I don't think that's the case. I'm not against people making reparations. I'm not against putting things right, making amends. I just think it's going to be very difficult. Let me know in the comments what you think. This is a free-flowing discussion democracy. Let me know what you think. Please do subscribe, because we are here on Secrets for my free-flowing thoughts and discussions with you here. Open opinions, anything goes, uncensored, I suppose. So please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.